Good morning and welcome to today's video. We're just going to start off with the possible tropical low that is forecast to form in the next day or two. The trough, or a trough, has formed around this area of convection over here. So this is the latest satellite imagery. And this big load of cloud over here next to Indonesia, just south of Indonesia, is where a weak trough has formed. Now, over the next few days, that trough is expected to move to the east towards the Northern Territory. Now, here's the modeling for the next couple of days. So you can see we got this elongated weak circulation out south of Indonesia. So that's where that group of convection is at the moment, or approximately. And as we move forward, as you can see, this all starts moving to the east. And it should get a little bit more organized, and a tropical low is expected to form. Now, the low should remain relatively weak to begin with as it moves towards the Northern Territory. So it should stay way offshore over the coming days. And as you can see, by the wind scale down here and what's showing here, it's not expected to be very strong at all. And if we have a look at the pressure map, it's not even a closed circulation, and the pressure is fairly weak, but it is still there. So I'll just go back to the wind one. So we'll just push forward a little bit, and it stays pretty much the same as a weak circulation up to the northwest of the top end. And we'll go back to this, and it's still very much disorganized. The system is not closed. There is not much excitement with it. However, it will direct some rainfall towards the Northern Territory. So in the coming days, the rainfall is expected to increase. And as we move forward, we'll get to the Tuesday and Wednesday. Once again, this low is expected to stay fairly weak. And as you can see by the MSLP map here, we still don't have a closed system. So at this point, I'd be more inclined to call it a trough still. Though it does have that circulation, but troughs do. It's only expected to be a small trough, just laying here. And when I say trough, it's not the monsoon. It's just an weak equatorial trough. So this is expected to lay somewhere around here. Now, the update on this. Now, all that before what I told you is what we are pretty much certain will happen. Now, by Wednesday, we'll just pop to the dew point. By Wednesday, there isn't a dry line. This is partly why we're not going to see much of a development. So we'll see this long here is the dry line, and this is over Wednesday expected to push north. So we're going to see a bit of a lull in activity over the top end as that dry line pushes up. Now, the access model earlier had this dry line coming right up to the north coast. EC only has it coming up about halfway up the top end. So it's that dry air as well as the non-closed system is what is causing this system to basically stay pretty weak. There are other factors. I mean, there is low wind shear, vertical wind shear up there, but at this point, it's not going to provide any intensification. Now to move into the part that is more, I guess you could call speculation. As the time goes on next week, that moisture, as you can see, we're pushing that, will eventually push that dry line away. There we go. So we'll push that dry line away, and we're going to get more moisture feeding in over the top end. Now we look at this system, as you can see, as the dry air is gone, there is a possibility that this system will intensify. Now, how far it intensifies is not known at this stage. Models are pretty much not aligned in what will happen. You've probably seen all the pretty pictures out there, like this one I'm about to show you, which shows a relatively decent system coming in. These are all too far in the future it will change. By the time the next run of this model comes out, this will change. The part where I said we know will happen, that will stay relatively the same because it's only during the next few days. But this longer term, where we're getting into the beginning of, not beginning of next week, but the week after, it starts to get too far into the future. So if you're starting to see people posting about these kind of time frames around the 24th of November, take it with a grain of salt, because it is far too far into the future to know what's going to happen, and nothing, it's changing every run. So where we're seeing those changes every run that far out, it means the models are just not sure. They don't know. And that is the case with most tropical systems. I mean, it's the case with any weather forecasting. Once you get past that about 5-day mark, things start going a bit near. So that's why I usually don't show much past the 7-day mark, because 7 days you can get away with. Anything further, like I say, this one right here, as much as it would be kind of interesting to have, because I don't think Weather Zone has it quite. No, it doesn't push it as far forward. But this actual low pressure system comes right over where I am. See, I am here, and in the longer term run, it pushes it straight across to me. So it would be interesting if it happened, but at this stage, I'm saying I doubt it's going to happen. I'm just bringing it up for the sole case of saying this is just anyone that comes up with this and go, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, this far out. It's purely wish casting and speculation at this point. So we will go back to where we actually think, up to where we're confident with, which is about Wednesday. So yeah, basically up until now, until around Wednesday, that trough or weak low will push slowly east, increasing the rainfall. Initially across parts of the Kimberley could see some increased rainfall, and then eventually over into the western top end. So here we have the rainfall up until that point. So as you can see, we've still got some decent amounts of rain expected around here. So in the next few days, we could see 50, 60 mil, depending on the movement of this low stroke trough. We may see higher, especially around the exposed coast and across the Tiwi Islands and into the Darwin area. We'll start to see an increase of rainfall over the next few days. We've already seen a bit of rain around, especially inland, has been fairly wet, and there has been some storms inland around the Bachelor, Adelaide River area around here during the day today. There was a bit of rain around other places as well, but nothing too dramatic at this point. So that's basically it when it comes to that potential low. So we're going to move on to the next part, which is now going to concentrate on storm activity across Queensland. So moving on to the thunderstorm potential over Queensland. So tomorrow or today now, as it is past midnight, tomorrow is expected to see some severe storms around, mostly around the inland areas, so Dalby, Chinchilla, Taroom, those kind of areas. They may push east towards the coast. It all depends on a few factors. Mostly what could go against this is excess cloud tomorrow. And also conditions just could not be conductive. So modeling shows us so much, but without actually getting the real-time data in the morning, it's pretty much impossible to be 100% sure. So that's where a lot of mistakes are made. Is people take modeling as gospel. Now I do go through modeling a lot, but I also explain the limitations and errors that can come out of modeling, and usually they're very generalized, especially with thunderstorm potential. Like you've got this great big red area which indicates possibly severe storms, as you can see down here. But will there be severe storms throughout that whole area? Most likely not. There could, but it's not likely. So yeah, it's you have to take a lot of this modeling with a grain of salt, but basically this is the general area we're looking at. So, and knowing the geography of this area, the inland areas are usually pretty conductive for storms to initiate. You get that internal heating, and you get a kind of dry line between the humid coast and the inland. So you often see initiation happen around this area. Now, the other thing that will determine what happens is the position of the trough. At the moment, it's over here, but it's expected to move east during the day tomorrow and into Sunday and into Monday as well. And just looking at the sweat index next for tomorrow, it's fairly moderate, so not expecting anything too crazy at this stage. Again, that can change come tomorrow, but at this stage, we're not seeing anything really, really crazy like the weekend's gone where we had the supercell development come up. There's still a chance a supercell or two may form, but it's a lower chance tomorrow than it has been in weekends gone. So we'll just quickly creep into Sunday. And the thunderstorm potential for Sunday, just put it up, is lower. So by Sunday, a lot of that potential is just possible. Still a chance of some storms hanging about, but not as much as the day before. So you can see for pretty much the whole day, except for the early morning, but that's probably unlikely as well. And we'll just put this back on. And the sweat index is really quite low. Well, not low, but not anything crazy. So the potential for severe storms especially is lessened. And even the Cape is really, really low come there. We do have the trough coming through, of course, so that could initiate some low-end thunderstorms. And once again, this is still 2 days out, and things can change. That's the joys of modelling. They're not always 100%. But at this stage, it's looking like a quiet day for Sunday. We'll just quickly go into Monday, and goes back to calm. So the trough is buggered off the coast. The sweat index is near zero, and it should settle down, at least for no storms anyhow. So Saturday tomorrow, or today, sorry, is the worst day of the 3 days that I've mentioned, and it will just gradually ease up as the days go by. we'll just look at the rainfall for the same period. So we've got possible areas of relatively high rainfall. I think this is probably a bit overcooked, to be completely honest with you. I don't see this amount really falling. But then again, it all depends on the strength of storms and where they go. If you get like 2 in a row hit in this same area, then okay, yes, that's probably accurate. But overall, I see widespread amounts of probably 20 to 30 mil at best, with isolated pockets of a little bit higher. But even then, some areas are going to miss out as they do. It's not always lucky, like we had this afternoon. We had that squall line go through, which went through the whole of the southeast Queensland area. So everybody got a bit of rain, with amounts, I think, being around 20 mil, maybe a little less, and up to 44 mil in some locations. So yeah, there's always a possibility of heavier falls, but overall, rainfall will be local. Finally, we're going to look at the 7-day rainfall. Other than the tropical north and the areas of Queensland that are expected to see storms over the next few days, everywhere else is going to be relatively dry, except for Western Tasmania. Western Tasmania will see a few cold fronts come through and troughing, which will cause some heavier falls along the western half of the island. The eastern side will be relatively dry with a few showers about. But elsewhere, nothing too dramatic to report. So you can see the totals here. These are around 30 mil. The purple is 100 mil. So you can see that there's areas that, especially across the north up here, that could see quite heavy rainfall. Now, a lot of this rainfall up towards the top end here is associated with where that low will be. So this hot spot of rain up here could shift depending on where the track goes eventually. So it's just something to keep an eye on, and updates will be posted all the time to keep you informed of what's going on. But for now, that is your weather report today, and thank you for watching and have a good one.